Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back for another 1,000 Pound Sisters. Chewy Caramel is the title. I do not know why, but I can't get this song out of my head. Wow, thing. Don't, don't. You make my heart sing. Don't. I don't know why, but the moment that the situation happened with the camel, and I'm laughing, it's not funny, but when the situation happened with the camel, that is what went on in my head. Like, what is going on here? How does this even happen? We'll get to it. Go ahead, do me a favor, and hit the like button as we jump into this thing. So, it is a new day, right? It's Girls' Day. Misty, Tammy, Amy, and Amanda are going to swim at a lake. This time they're being a little bit more considerate and they're going to a lake that is handicap accessible, they're saying. Now, in the car ride there, Amanda is saying how they haven't had a sister's day since their surgeries and how much they're looking forward to this. But the moment that they arrive at the lake and they're settled, we realize that it's not just a sister's day because her son is there. Now, Amy says something about sons, so I don't know if it was just one or if it was multiple because there was another guy in the background as well that is close to them. So I'm just going to say sons, right? So it quickly goes from a day with the girls to a day with Amanda and her sons. Amy tells us it's annoying that Amanda's boys are there, but she's not going to allow it to mess up her fun. So Tammy takes off her shirt, has on her bathing suit, and she heads to the water. As I see her walking in the water, I say to myself, she's like a toddler. She's a little wobbly, but she does it, and she does it with little to no assistance. We see Amy and Tammy on a float until Amy releases air, as she so often does, and it's loud, and Tammy abandons ship. She instead gets an inner tube that is a donut, and she's excited because she, for the first time in as long as she can remember, is able to use a flotation device and fit in the center of the hole of the tube. It just goes to show you how much she's accomplished. We are watching Tammy as she's experiencing things in her life for the first time, as she's enjoying herself, and the energy is good. She lost a lot of weight, and it's nice to see this. This is the Tammy that I like to see. I don't like that other side. Good news is I don't recall getting the other side this entire episode, so I appreciated it. So the subject of surgery comes up. Tammy says the first thing that she's looking to get done is a facelift. She wants to take all of this up and have things moved to where they're supposed to be moved. Then she wants to be cut from hip to hip, which is like her apron area, and have everything pulled into the area that she's supposed to have it in. And as she's talking and she's describing this, I'm wondering if she realized just how much surgery it is, because she's speaking about it as if it's going to be a simple task. But looking at Chris and his incision and how much skin he had to remove versus how much Tammy is going to have to remove, there's going to be a lot bigger of a recovery here. Like, she's really going to be going through it when she does get approved. So she says for her chest is going to be last. Even though Amy has not lost a lot of weight, for whatever reason, they asked Amy what she wants to do, and she says she wants to do her fupa, her boobs, and her butt. She wants the J-Lo butt. We then get to Amanda and how things are going. Amanda says she's just buying her time at Amy's right now, and she's enjoying being single. Misty tells her, don't be like the Greyhound and let everybody hop on. And Amanda says, I can count on one hand the amount of people that I've been with. And Misty says, and how many of our hands do you need to go with that hand of yours? And when she said, I'm like, okay, I get that they're joking around here, but it's something about it that I don't like. This is not my style. Like, we cut jokes with one another as family, but we don't go to stuff like that. So, if I'm being a prude here, I'm being a prude here. So Amanda says, "You getting it confused. Amy's the hoe, not me." And Tammy says in her confessional, "I'm not saying that, Amy's a hoe, but before Michael, her bed was never cold," meaning she always had someone in it. When she said it, I didn't even stay on the whole thing. For me, I just thought about the fact that a lot of times it seems like they do not know how to be alone. So they start talking about Brian and how good he is with Amy and how great he is with the kids. I still don't get how y'all didn't think that it's wrong to have this man around these kids so quickly. But, couldn't have been me. Amy talks about, how they're going to do this drive through zoo and how excited she is and, how he just loves being with her and her boys. While Misty says, "You're rushing it. I think you're rushing it. I think you need to slow down." Tammy admits that both her and Amy have had a hard time in the past not rushing things. She feels like she and her sister sometimes look for love, especially Amy, because they didn't get it when they were growing up. And I appreciate Tammy recognizing that this is exactly what it is. They have a lot of unresolved issues from their childhood that will take time to work through, and no partner is going to take away or help with that void. You have to do the inner work. You have to do the healing on your own in order to get that ball rolling. If you're not doing the healing on your own, there's constantly going to be a void there. There's constantly going to be this need to include other people, and that's what we see a lot with these ladies, especially Amy right now. Because Amy, like, you haven't been gone from Michael that long, and you've already had two boyfriends that I've seen pictures of. Could have been more than that. So she said that, Amy, I don't want you to get defensive when I say this, but I've warned you before about other guys that you've been with, and I've been right about them. So in this case, I just want you to be careful. Tammy tells her sisters that she has something to tell them. This is when she lets them know that she has been talking to someone, and it's not a guy, it's a woman. Misty makes it sound like she's shocked, but then she later on says that she wasn't surprised. So I don't know if they were doing that for the sake of the scene or if they were legitimately surprised that she was seeing someone. Either way, she makes it sound. I don't know why you're so surprised, because I knew it was a girl. Tammy talked about how now that Caleb's passed, it just doesn't feel right for her to be with a man. I don't see what one thing has to do with another. I could see her saying it doesn't feel right for me to be with anyone, but for her to specifically say a man, that part kind of confuses me, but that's just my opinion. You all tell me yours. She then says, "I know you guys don't prefer people that are gay." Misty says, "It doesn't matter to me." Like, she hurries up and tries to shut that down. Tammy says, "Okay, I'm coming off wrong. What I mean is, I know you all don't like it, but you tolerate it." I'm looking at Misty as the camera is showing Misty. I know Misty says later on, love is love and all those other things. But there is a difference between tolerance and acceptance. And Misty did not correct her when she said you all tolerate it. Misty doesn't say, "Oh no, you're wrong," or anything like that. So it's making me wonder if that statement is true. I think it was Google a Monster that pointed out in the last episode that there may be things that we don't know in terms of the way that the family feels about this. It may be a situation where they're presenting one thing on air and it's another thing, in the privacy of their own home. And because Misty reacted the way that she did in that scene and didn't correct her when she used the word tolerate, it makes me feel like maybe there's some legitimate thought in there. I know that there are people in my family that accept that, and there are people in my family that tolerate that, and there are people in my family that don't agree with it whatsoever. So it might be that that's the same type of situation that Tammy is experiencing, and she's just trying to figure out who lies where. So Amanda can't understand why Tammy would think that they would have a problem with it. Like Amy, Amanda just wants the person that her sister ends up with to treat her sister right. Amanda says she really doesn't get why she would think that she has a problem with it because she has a gay son. I thought that, that was a possibility when we saw last week's episode and the young man was talking about the kids, but I didn't want to assume anything. And I think it's him that she's talking about. So the fact that she said it confirms, okay, Amanda doesn't seem to have a problem with it. I actually believe Amanda. Misty then says, as long as you're happy, it's fine. I honestly was surprised that you married a man. And Amanda says, just don't settle. There's a lot of people out there. There's one person that may be for you. Just don't settle. I think that that's good advice for us all. Like, let's not settle. So Tammy feels relieved, and now she's considering introducing her to the family. When she said that, I was like, how are you relieved and you haven't even talked to Chris or your mother? But Chris does later come on and say that Tammy told him and he's happy as long as she's happy. So we see Amy and her man. Amy is so happy to have this man that wants to do more than play video games, because she says all Michael wanted to do was play video games. When we first met them, Michael had a job. I don't understand what happened. Like, was it because you all were making more money? Was it because you needed him to transport you around more for you and Tammy to film scenes? Like, what was it that happened that caused Michael to go from doing things to you saying that all he wanted to do all day was play video games? So she said she's gone from a man that just wanted to play video games to a man that actually wants to do like games in real life, like baseball and all those other things. And he's also very active with her kids, and we get clips of them at like a fun zone as they're going down the slide and stuff. And I don't like how quickly she's allowed this man to be around her kids in such an intimate way. And intimacy doesn't mean it has to be like that. Please understand, I don't mean like that. I mean like vulnerability. Like, you're putting these little babies who can't speak for themselves with a stranger. Because he's behind them while they're going down the slide and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that that would be a thing, but you just can't trust people. You can't. So it's been 2 months. She and Brian go to like an adult play area and they're axe throwing. I don't know what the hell Amy. I don't know. Amy's different because most of the time, right, when you see women who have stomachs, I have a little bit of a pudge. When you see women who have stomachs, normally women aren't like men. Like, men will wear their pants below their stomach with larger stomachs. Women tend to still like to pull up their stuff. And I was just looking at where her skirt was and how it, like, Amy isn't really paying attention to the way she looks in some of this clothing. So it's not very flattering for her body type. Like, you got to know your body type. There are certain things that I would never wear because it does not look good on me. It's like certain dresses. I will not put on certain dresses because I have very large boobs. And if the dress doesn't have any shape to it, it looks like I got on a big trash bag. It makes me look even fatter. Like, you learn things that work for your body. Anyways, back to the story. So the subject of Amy and her boys moving in with him comes up again. He's talking about how he feels like it would be a good idea, that his place is bigger, that his neighborhood is better. She agrees that he is in a better neighborhood and it does have a better school system and a bigger yard and a pool. Here's my thing. When you first talked about moving into the house that you decided to move in with you and Michael, you said that one of the things that you looked at the schools in the area. So are you now saying that the schools in the area have had this significant drop and now all of a sudden this guy who lives in another county has better schools? Like, I don't quite get that, but whatever. And it could be that he does. It's just, Amy, you're so ready to throw away all that you have for a man that you've known for 2 months. So she speaks on how crazy her family is, and he says, like, we can deal with that when we want to, and we can be alone under our own roof. There's something about the way that he said that has me concerned if he is somebody who would eventually try to isolate Amy from her family. There's signs here that he is someone that I would be concerned about just because how quickly he's moving. Like, you're kind of love bombing her And I just feel like it's not realistic to think that it's a good idea for you to move in with this man after knowing him for 2 months with your kids. By yourself, do whatever the hell you want to do, but with your kids, no. She agrees that she will move in with her boys after he baby proofs the house. So he's like, all right, yeah, let's go. Let's go to the store and start baby proofing. She's especially worried about the pool. Not a smart decision, not at all. I don't even know if they're still together. It's not smart. Like, girl, no. As she said it, I wrote, this chick is pissing me off. Those boys shouldn't be around somebody that they don't know. How did the courts feel like she was a better choice than Michael? And I maybe I'm wrong here, but I wonder what was so wrong with Michael that she was able to maintain custody even though she claims to have problems with her vision and she can't clean up and all these other things. It just seems like there's a lot of areas where she's lacking in, where I feel like, and I'm not saying take her kids from her, but watch her. Watch her. Okay. So it's appointment time. Chris takes Tammy to her appointment with Dr. Smith. She tells Dr. Smith that she's been working on getting off her vapes and getting up her protein. Chris says that for him, when he was working with the doctors, he would have like 4 protein shakes in a day and a salad to get his levels up. We find out that she did a little bit of binge eating yesterday to get her protein. She got 100 grams, which we learned later on that he wants her to have at least 90. She drank 4 cups of protein coffee, ate 10 shrimp, had 2 crab cakes, 2 fish, and 2 hush puppies. She says she hasn't ate like that in 6 years, and now she's sick of food. Tammy, be careful. I see that Tammy's doing a phenomenal job, but don't get to the point where you end up stretching your stomach after how hard you've worked. So they arrive at Dr. Smith's. We see the difference in their appearance as they're talking about these large bariatric chairs that they're sitting in. And beforehand, they overflowed on the chairs where you could barely see the chair. And now they're both sitting in these chairs, and there's a significant amount of space in the chair, like where you could put a child in the chair with them if you wanted to. And before, there was no way that that could be done. So they're just talking about, how good it is to see that progress. So he checks in on Chris, wants to, know how he's done since his skin removal and stuff. And he shows him his scar and he says, oh, it's healed beautifully. And your belly buttons too. He did a really, really good job because he doesn't always see that type of healing. They laugh as Chris says that he has a $50,000 stomach, meaning it probably costs $50,000 to have that surgery. My goodness. And a set of old man titties. So at some point he wants reconstruction, a reduction, whatever you call it. He wants to, get rid of the excess skin on that. So he then brings up Brittany and her diabetes and says that she's like one step away from having to actually have shots. And he can see the difference in her and how she's now struggling to keep up with him. As I said in the last episode, my problem with this is that Brittany had ample opportunity to work on herself, but she openly admitted to not doing that, and we saw it for ourselves while Chris was doing his thing. So for her to now to want to take the easy way out, I don't like it, but Dr. Smith says that he is willing to see her. So let's get to Tammy. She went from vaping nicotine every single day to now for the past 2 weeks, she has not had nicotine. She says she's been doing nicotine ones, which is still vaping, but it's supposed to have zero nicotine in it. And Dr. Smith explains, like, look, I'm glad that you haven't been doing as much nicotine, but there are still ingredients, even in the non-nicotine vapes, that are not good for you and your healing process when it comes to surgery. So you need to get off of the vapes, period. He goes over her protein level results. Her protein is at a 5.9. He said the lowest number that they're willing to take as normal is a 6, which means she's not far from it. Her short-term protein, though, is 15.9, and the low end of normal for that is 20. He says if protein is good, then you will heal good. But if your protein is low, she will not heal well. She'll have infection and other things like that. So he tells Tammy, I need you to please at least get 90 grams of protein in you a day. He then says, we can't proceed for now, but let's go ahead and take a nicotine test so that we can show Dr. Rubin that, even though your protein levels aren't where you want them to be, they've gotten better and you don't have any nicotine. So we see Tammy in confession and she says, like, she feels kind of defeated. And rather than lashing out like she normally would, Tammy ends up, it says in the caption, like she's sobbing. So she's crying and she says that she's just concerned that it's never going to be enough. And I can see her defeat in this situation. But Tammy, you have done an amazing job. Once it finally clicked for you, you have been doing it. You can do it, Tammy girl. Like, I may not always like your attitude, but myself and millions of, well, I don't know if it's a million people that watch this, thousands of others are rooting for you, girl. Like, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you be able to get your skin removal. So on to Amy. They went through the drive-through zoo in Tennessee. They bought 12 buckets of food. A lot of the food, she says, has landed in the truck. The kids are having a good time. You hear them in the back laughing and giggling as the various animals approach. Then all of a sudden you hear, oh, the camel just bit me. The camel just bit me. Years ago, when we were little, I want to say this had to be in the 90s when we used to go every summer. We would go to Great Adventures and they had a safari and my grandmother would ride through the safari. She did it every year till one year the monkey put an M in, she like literally wrote a M, keyed the car, and that was the end of that. But we never had that type of problem. So for me, I'm wondering, like, is it because the window was all the way down? Because we never had our windows all the way down. Was it because the window was all the way down? Was it because you had the bucket here and it thought it was biting into the bucket? Like, what was the disconnect there? If you all know, put it down below. We find out that the same arm that she got bitten by the camel is the same arm that Chris says she got bitten years before by a dog. So she's crying, asking Brian, what should they do? He tells her to hold up her arm, put pressure on it, and he's going to, drive to find help. So he's speeding through to try to get help. And that's when Amy texts Brittany, says she got bit by a camel. I guess she did a group text and she also called Amanda. So Chris and Brittany are laughing. She sends a picture and it looks like she got like cut. I don't know if y'all watch the liposuction stuff, but I watch the liposuction stuff where they do liposuction on people and they do like a little slit across your arm. And when they slit across, not your arm, we'll say the body part, and you can see like the different layers and the fat and all that other stuff. Yeah. I'm twisted, I know. Anyway, or even when they do like skin removal and they flip it, you can see the fat pockets and all that. So she literally has like what looks like a hole in her arm that's about this big. Can y'all see that? This big. And then you can see all the little fat in it. And a piece of it is also like hanging on her arm. So this wasn't like she accidentally got grazed. She got bit by the camel. So some of the tissue is out. The siblings are on a video call and they're joking about it. I don't think that it was something to joke about once you saw what it looked like. I can understand you laughing at first when she said she got bit by a camel, because when I first heard the story, I chuckled too. Like, the girl got bit by a camel. Like, what in the world did she do to the camel for the camel to bite her? But I didn't realize it was severe. So the moment that she got that video, they got that picture, to me, the joke should have stopped. So Amy calls Amanda. And Amanda, based on what Amy is saying, immediately decides that she needs to come to get the boys in case it's something serious where she has to stay there longer. They have to do surgery or something like that. Also, so she could check on her sister. Amy says, so she's in the ambulance, and then all of a sudden, they start putting the kids in the ambulance. And she's wondering, like, why would they put the kids in the ambulance? Why didn't they give the kids to Brian? Well, it turns out that the cops, because, whenever there's an ambulance called out, the cops and the ambulance come together, whatever, because Amy lets us know nobody called the cops. The cops came with the ambulance. So the cops search the car, and she says they found, her words, a drag of marijuana. I don't know what a drag of marijuana is. I do know that it's serious in this instance because y'all end up getting arrested. So Amy says she's in the ER getting stitches when the cops come in to read her rights. She didn't realize that he was arrested until that moment when she was getting arrested. And she can't understand how she got arrested since she was the one that got bit. She's sitting there telling us that they should have handcuffed the camel. It went from a beautiful day of her spending time with her boys to her being in jail. My question is, what is being left out of this story? Because I don't have the cops out of nowhere just deciding to search the car unless they smelt something, saw something, heard something. Like, what was said to them that they decided to search the car? There's something that's missing here. Maybe they wanted to file an incident report. I don't know. But either way, like, how do we get to the point where they search the car and they find drug paraphernalia? And why is Amy lying about the amount? I don't think it's as small as she says. Here's my other question. Were they doing this beforehand? Was this a thing where they were like, let's get high and then let's go to the zoo? Let's do this and then, have the kids out here. And like, it gives me so many questions. And I just feel like Amy needs to reevaluate herself and get it together. Because when it comes to these kids, I'm not okay with it. Do whatever you want to do when it comes to you. But when it comes to those kids, you got to tighten up. If there's something that I left out that you want to talk about, feel free to put it down below. As I said earlier, please like the video because it helps. Leave a comment. Hell, if you can, if you don't normally comment, switch it up a little bit. Let me know what you thought of this episode on a scale of 1 to 5. What are you rating it? I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it like a 2.5 just because it wasn't awful, but I just, am I being mean? Okay, I'll give it a 3. I'll say it's average. I'm going to give it a 3 because it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. And there were moments where I did laugh and I did enjoy seeing Tammy have fun. And I'll give it a 3 for that. But you all tell me what you think. Until next time.